So we will start with this demo session on SQL Server for data analysts and data engineers. So for the sake of people who have joined now, participants, so I think Shiva has joined now. Shiva, were you there yesterday? So we will go through what is the course coverage, and I'll give my quick introduction. So just give me a minute. So this is basically a course which is designed for people who are working in IT and who would also be interested in going to data science or on the data side. So initially we are assuming they are not on the data front. So they are completely new to data. So for them, this coverage is being designed. So I'll just quickly go through the coverage for the sake of those who are joined now. Mandavi, was Mandavi there yesterday?
Today is my first day.
Today is your first day. Okay.
Yeah.
So yesterday's demo you can go through, but still for the sake of convenience, I'm just going to recollect what we did yesterday. Yesterday was the first demo.
Okay.
So this is basic SQL Server. My name is Arun and I would be the trainer for this. And this basic course is slightly different because it's for data engineers and data analysts. So I have included certain basic features as well as advanced features. So who is the target audience? People who are working in IT industry and who are completely new to SQL. So you will have some introduction to the SQL Server and a database feature. And we will also be looking at people who want to shift to the data side, which means the data science or the data engineering side. What would be the methodology for this session? Methodology for this session would be theory followed by a demo. So theory will give you the conceptual clarity that is required, and the demo would be there. And then further, of course, exercises will be given to you. So this is the session this is how it is planned. It is a 60-hour session and it will be 1 hour a day and it would be 5 days a week. This is the plan. Which 1 hour? Right now, the timing is 9:30 to 10:30, but we may shift the timing based on what the participants decide. So mostly we are sticking to this time alone. What would be the coverage? So as we are assuming people are completely new to SQL Server, there will be a broad coverage of how the data is in IT. So we'll be looking at the data in IT and how we design databases. But this will all be overview, and this aspect is not covered in detail because we are assuming that right now we are looking at a developer who wants to start using SQL Server for developing database system. So there we are not looking at the design aspect completely, but still we need to know where we are and we need to know the overall picture. So I'll be giving that picture today. Then we moved on to understanding what is SQL Server. We will be moving on to understanding what is SQL Server logical architecture. What are the components of SQL Server and how they are connected to each other. That we will be looking at. Then we would get some tables which we have designed using paper pencil. So which means we are not going to implement them as yet, but we have to implement them now. So the steps are very well formed. So this implementation step is what we are looking at. So we have the table design, and this table design you can see here, we'll be looking at 3 types of constraints: the data constraint or the data integrity. In terms of when I input data into the table, I should be ensuring what type it is. I should not be allowed to enter any data in under any column. Like for example, it's a date column and I should not be allowed to enter a character. So the data type ensures that you only enter a specific type of data in the column. Then keys will ensure uniqueness of the data, and check constraint ensures some certain other rules that have to be implemented. So this is your table design that we will be looking at. So by the end of this, you would have tables. You would have created tables, and we will also see how to insert data into table using the user interface initially. And once you have completely created the table and inserted data, then we move on to certain methods using which, or rather coding method, using which you can do all that you have done so far. What all you would have done by this time, you would have created a database, you would have created tables, you would have created certain columns, you would have given certain data types, certain keys and check constraints. And how do I do all of this? Using my T-SQL language. So T-SQL is a language that we'll be using. And apart from that, we will also would like to insert, update, or delete the data inside the table, which is called DML operation, data manipulation operation. There also we will be using the T-SQL language. And we'll see how T-SQL can be used for two purposes. One is data definition, like creating database, creating table. That means creating the schema in general. And second, how to manipulate the data. Manipulate the data means how do I insert, update, or delete the data. So this is what we are looking at. And we'll also see the merging part of the data. So we'll have merge data option as well. Now, then after we have done all of these operations, we would want to pull out the data. So when you look at typically any business, there are two ways in which I pull out the data. One is for the purpose of reporting, the other one is for the purpose of transaction. So here we'll first look at how to pull out data for the purpose of transaction. Like when I go to a shop and the shop is having a small system which is telling what is the stock it is having. So when you ask for something, it has to first check whether stock is available. So it will check for the stock. So therefore the system is there to query or to retrieve data of the stock of a particular product. How many quantity of particular product I have stocked. So for all of this, we require some queries. We'll see how to use SQL Server, T-SQL language to query the data. So basic querying methodology and the features that are available we'll be looking at. We'll be looking at different clauses like select to filter the column that you want to see. We will see the from clause to select the source from where you want to get the data, which table, which view that we will look at. Then we will look at sorting and filtering the data using where clause, using order by clause. Then we'll be looking at grouping and aggregating the data using group by clause and using sum average. So use certain operations, writing the query. So we are coding and getting certain basic output from the table. Then we move on and see how to get data from multiple tables. So we have joins. Here's a cross join, inner join, outer join, full join. We are going to see that, the different types of joins. Then how to write a query within a query. So that also we will be looking at. So we have things like subqueries, derived tables, and correlated subqueries. So we will look at how do we approach this entire session. We'll look at a problem and we will look at how a particular feature is a solution to that particular problem. Then we will look at some advanced features as well in T-SQL, like windowing function, using it for aggregate, analysis, and ranking. Then common table expressions, CTE, which is called, and pivot and unpivot. If time permits, because we are looking at 60 hours, so if time permits, we'll do some more advanced features as well. Then we will look at how to use T-SQL, which is a language, to create certain business logic which is related to data. Like for example, when I am withdrawing cash from the bank, then there will be some entry onto tables. So there will be some entry onto transaction table, or there will be updation of account table. Then these procedures that we are trying to do, we want to do it in the database. So when you do a process or you do a step related to modification of data, then these steps can be combined into one logical function And to implement it, we use what is called as stored procedure. So a set of steps in the business logic. What is the actual action? The logical action is withdrawing cash. But inside you may have multiple physical steps or actions. And we want to encapsulate those steps and we want that to be implemented in the database. So we use stored procedures. We'll be looking at certain T-SQL syntaxes, like we'll be looking at the features like variables from T-SQL. We'll be looking at if else, and then we'll be looking at while loop. So all this is what we are looking at. Stored procedures, when we see how to implement this logic step by step and encapsulate in a procedure, we'll be looking at in parameter. How do I pass information to the stored procedure? How do I get the information out of the stored procedure? And how do I return the status of the stored procedure? Status means, okay, you wanted to withdraw cash. So the procedure is withdrawing cash. Within withdrawing cash, you may have to do multiple steps with respect to tables. Then, well, did the steps go through fine or not? That you will come to know through return types. So this is your return type. We will see how to create a stored procedure and how to call a stored procedure. Then later we go to functions. Functions means how to implement calculations. Basic calculation, maybe a little advanced calculation. Like for example, how do I get tax information? So I want to know tax. I want to calculate tax for every account. How do I do that? So for Srinivas has just joined. So assuming I'm just recollecting what we did yesterday because some of them have missed yesterday's session, or in fact, both are new. Srinivas, are you new for today's session? You have attended yesterday's session?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Did you attend yesterday's session?
No.
Okay. So I'm just for that, for the benefit of all of you who are first new to this session, I'm just recollecting.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Then we are doing views and triggers. So we have triggers, and then triggers are basically nothing but implementation of business rules related to operations. Like you do insert operation, you do update operation, and you do delete operation. So based on that, you have to do some we have to have certain pre-processing. Like for example, I am withdrawing cash from the bank. When I'm withdrawing, I have to first check whether I have minimum balance. So checking of minimum balance is a pre-processing. To implement this pre-processing, we use triggers. Similarly, after you have withdrawn cash, you want to update the account balance. That is post-processing. So therefore, there are certain pre-processings and post-processings that you do for insert, update, and delete. That is done through triggers. Then we look at views. Views is basically nothing but access to part of the table. If I give access to the whole table, then it will be difficult. So I give access to part of the table for end users specifically. Like for example, there is one table which gives me the accounts for all branches, but branch 1 manager need not know what are the accounts in branch 2. Therefore, I have to ensure that I give him only the view of branch 1. So this is where we create views on top of tables. We'll be looking at how to create views, etc. Then we come to change data. So we'll be looking at what is change data. Always the database will not have constant data. Like a product is there, the price of the product changes, right? The name of the product could change. If you talk about customer, the address of the customer can change. So there will be change. Now I want to track change. Why? Because I want to save the history data. So I have change data capture and change data tracking. And I have another option which is called temporal tables. So temporal tables ensure that I am storing the history of the same data. What was the old address of the customer? What is the new address of the customer? What is his old phone number? What is the new phone number? What was the old product price? What is the new product price? So all this will be stored using temporal tables. Each one of these features have their own plus points and minus points. We'll look at them. Then we will look at what is an index. So what are the different types of indexes? Indexes are used to speed up the retrieval process from the database. So we have clustered index, we have non-clustered index. Then we will see indexes based on functionality like unique indexes, filtered indexes. Then we go to the physical architecture of SQL Server. So we'll see how SQL Server stores the data physically in a file, in a page, extent, allocation unit, etc. And we will look at all the tables from where you can get this information. Where is the file stored? Where is the data stored? In which file is it stored? In what format is it stored? All this information we get. We look at transaction, locking, and concurrency. Whenever we are processing and we are transacting with the database, you may have multiple transactions, but in each transaction, you may have a set of steps. So when I say I want to withdraw cash is the transaction. But within a transaction, you will have multiple steps. So you want certain rules to be followed with respect to all these steps, like you have asset properties. So asset properties here, we are going to ensure how there is atomicity of data. Then we are going to look at what are the different types of transactions. Atomicity, isolation, durability, all of this is the property of a transaction. So when I say one transaction, what all properties it should have. Then what are the types of transactions that are implemented in SQL, like explicit, implicit, auto comment. Then we look at how SQL Server locks resources. When you access table, how it is locked so that nobody else accesses it. Look at internal architectures. Then we will look at concurrency. When many transactions are accessing the same table, how SQL Server ensures that there is no overriding or overwriting. There is no inconsistency in data. So we look at concurrency models, concurrency issues, isolation, how one transaction can be isolated with other transaction. Then we'll be looking at certain other features like blocking and deadlock. We'll look at lock hint, and we'll also see how to choose a concurrency model. So these are the things that we are looking at with respect to SQL Server coverage. So this is what I am repeating for the benefit of all of you because you had not attended yesterday. Now we will just go on to the next aspect, which is the starting point. So I'm going to start with what is called as an introductory overview level of how data is treated. Before we go on to the starting point, yesterday also I had mentioned, today also you can see your chat window. So in your chat window, I have actually specified the URL. So let me copy the URL once again. And this is the student information form that you have to fill in. So let me copy the message and so those who want to continue with the classes after the demo sessions are over. Today is the second day. So we have 2 to 3 demo classes. So once the demo sessions are over, then the regular classes will start, which means you continue with the topic, but it is no more a demo. So if you want to attend the class, there would be the training fee or the course fee. So just get in touch with Go Online. I have given the URL. So click on the URL, get in touch with Go Online, give your details. By giving your detail, they will contact you back, and then you can look at continuing the course and doing the payment of the course, etc. What are the payment terms? How long will the recordings be available? We'll be recording every session. How long will it be available? All these details you have to go and ask them, and they will get in touch with you. When they get in touch with you, you can ask. So this is the detail. So before now we proceed with the next topic. So the topic is, what is this database? In a business, how is data moving? So once you know the basic of this, then it becomes easy. So I'm going to share this notepad that is there. I'm sharing it, which has the details. So for any database or for any business rather, there are 2 types of data. We saw them yesterday. One is called as OLTP, that is a system which is maintaining day-to-day data. Like I will be having day-to-day shopping, which I do, sales, which I do. If I'm having you can say chain of stores, everyday sales data, where am I going to store? There is a OLTP system. What is the purpose of that? Basic reporting. Like let's say there is a store manager in a scenario where I am selling items. Then that store manager wants to know what is the sales that has happened in the store today. That is called basic report. Maybe even for the entire month, but it is only for the store manager. So it is not for all stores and information will be limited. So for basic reporting, OLTP system is used, online transaction processing. As the name suggests, the major objective of a transaction processing system is to capture operational data. Daily operational data has to be captured. And why is it called online? Because it's always accessible to the business. So when I am in the sales counter and I am selling some item, I will enter the information, and this this information goes and sits into the OLTP database. What is the nature of the OLTP database? First, we will understand that there will be an application like a sales counter. You have the sales application, and it will be entering the data into Excel, Notepad, or a database. Now, what will happen? What kind of data will it be? All this is given in here. So the data that is entered through an application, and it is mainly transactional data like everyday sales. The data will be transactional, so therefore there will be a lot of insert, update, and delete. So what happens, for example, I have a product and I want the product data or information like the cost of the product, maybe product pictures, maybe product reviews. These are all information that I want. Think about Amazon. The question is, this is transactional information. Okay. So the question is, how am I going to store it? What is going to be the nature of the data? You will see a lot of inserts. So new products coming in. Some products may be moved away. If you take an example of Amazon, some products are old, it has to be deleted. Some products are inserted completely new, so new products are coming in. Then existing products get updated, like price gets updated. Maybe images of the product get updated. The reviews on the product get updated. So these are the different updates that can happen. So what is the purpose of this source, OLTP source? Maximum data in and minimum data out. Then you have normalization. Normalization means how is the data stored? The data is stored internally after having deduplicated the data. Okay, so what is this deduplication of data? Why do you do deduplication? We do deduplication because the purpose of OLTP system is to transact. And the transacted data keeps changing. Like let's say a customer, his address can change, his email address can change, his phone number can change. Now, if I have duplicate data, then I have to make the changes at multiple places. So if a customer address changes, I have to change the customer address in multiple systems or multiple tables. So I do not want to have duplicate data. What if I made change to one table and I forget to make changes to the other table? Possible. Then there will be inconsistency of data. Therefore, because I am storing latest data alone, I am not interested in history. My latest data change should be available in all the places. And it becomes quite difficult to maintain such a database. Therefore, we need normalization or deduplication. Then data will be of different formats, as we saw here. I could be storing data using Excel, Notepad, database. Like one retail store would be using Excel because it has very less customer base. So one of them would be using Notepad because it has even further less customer base. but one would be, say, in the city, and there are a lot of sales that happen every day, then they may use databases. So it really depends on the business. You can have different data formats where you're storing the transactional data. Then the data is, of course, frequently changing. That is what we have seen. It is having a lot of insert, update, and delete. Then to model the data, what do I mean by model? Creating a logical equivalent of the physical data which is stored in the database. And this logical equivalent is done in paper and pencil. Before you create tables, before you create databases, we would have to model them. So what is the modeling that we use to model this OLTP data? We use ER modeling, or entity relationship modeling. So the modeling is ER, and the data that you create, or rather the model that you create using ER modeling, then you later normalize, deduplicate. So this is normalized ER modeling. Then the data may be dirty. After all, it is the user who is inserting the data. There can be inconsistency. There could be a mistake when the user is entering. The data entry operator would make mistakes. Then there could be a possibility that there are duplicate datas. By mistake, there is entry of 2 items, whereas actually the quantity of item purchased is only 1, it's not 2. So there could be duplicate entries. There could be wrong entries. All this is possible. Then why are we not looking at this here? Because we are more interested in getting the transaction completed. So you want to give money and you want to get the transaction completed. So if the transaction is complete, I get the money and the customer gets the product that he wants. For a transactional, the person who is handling the transactional system is not more bothered about whether the data is perfectly right, whether it is consistent, is there any error. All these things he is not bothered because the business is already done. So therefore, here this is the condition of a transactional system, the online transaction processing system. Then we come to the next system, which we were seeing yesterday, which is the OLAP system, the online analytical processing system. And here, as the name suggests, analytical processing, it is more interested in analysis so that this analysis can support a business decision. So now let's look at the nature of this analytical database. It is more used for consolidation kind of query. So mainly it is maximum data out and minimum data in. And like reporting tool, it is basically going to report based on data which is stored for the purpose of analytics. So for example, a regional manager would want to know how many store chains are there, and for each store chain in the region, what would be the sales. So for him, I have to consolidate the data. Then there could also be, it can also be used for predictive. What do I mean by predictive? I am selling some product. I am selling so many products. Which product can I promote along with other product? Like I promote bread and butter. So I find out usually that the person who buys bread also buys butter. Therefore, and I see I want to boost the sales of the butter. Therefore, I offer butter free or at a relatively less cost. So this is basically the kind of decision that we take by predicting. So predictive decisions based on predictive analysis, decisions based on consolidation or analysis of data in history. This is what we do in analytics. Then what is the form of the data? It's all denormalized form. So here I don't need to bother about duplicates. Even if duplicates are there, it is fine. Why? Because I would be storing history of the data. It is not just the latest of the latest data. So therefore, I am fine having duplicates. I don't have to update the duplicates here. The updation of duplicate happens in the transactional system. Here I just have to maintain duplicates if they are there, but it will not be exactly duplicate, it will be history. Like the customer then the customer has a particular mobile phone or an email address, and I change. So you capture both the information. What is the old mobile phone email address? What is the new mobile phone email address? Therefore, it has to be present in denormalized form. Duplicates are fine because I want to query fast. In order to query fast, duplicates is fine, is essential, and it is fine. Just give me a minute. Formats have to be regularized here. What do I mean by that? There will be different formats of data in the OLTP system, and it has to be regularized. It has to be made one. I'll have one database which contains data from branch which is there in Mumbai, branch which is there in Chennai. Branch in Mumbai might be using a database, branch in Chennai might be using Excel. I have to collate all the data. And when I collate, I have to ensure the format is consistent. I can't have different format data. It has to be consistent. Then more selection is there. There will be updates even in the analytical processing system, but selection is predominant. Then the modeling used is different, like dimension modeling, unified dimension modeling. Then the data has to be clean because I have to take decision based on the analysis. And for analysis, the data has to be clean. If the clean data is not available, analysis will be wrong. Analysis is wrong, it will lead to wrong decisions. So my business can get hampered, will get hampered in fact, if I do not have clean data. Non-duplicate entry is also important because duplicate entry will give wrong information and that could lead to problem. So these are the format differences between transactional data and analytical data. Now, how do I change data that is coming from OLTP system to OLAP? I need these changes because here the data is normalized, here it has to be denormalized. Here you have different formats, here you have the single format. Here it is a different modeling technique, here there's different modeling. Here there's dirty data, but here I want clean data. Here there can be duplicate data, I want non-duplicate data. So for moving the data from OLTP system to OLAP, of course I can't have two different systems. It's just the OLTP system data which is collected while the transaction is happening and moved to OLAP system. So you have certain things, operations that have to be done, like changing data formats, changing data types, removing duplicates, removing dirty data, then denormalize data. These are the operations that we do in the system. So for this, we use a tool which is called ETL tool. And ETL tool is extract, transform, and load tool. You have, like, for example, you have SSIS as part of Microsoft technology, right? So these are the tools used which will take the input data from OLTP system, convert it to the way the user wants it in the OLAP system. And this is called data transformation. And this particular thing is done using SSIS and SQL. There are multiple other tools like Azure Data Factory. So on-premise, it's SSIS. And on the cloud, you have Azure Data Factory and Azure Databricks. These are the different tools that are used. Now, this is how the data moves. Finally, what is it used for? It is used for reporting purpose. So if I have Anand Mahindra on one end, Anand Mahindra should be able to see the report and should be able to take decision on it. So therefore, the reporting is there. Then, how do we? So we are now going to focus on the OLTP first. This is our focus. As data engineers, you have to focus on all, but we are starting with OLTP systems. So we will see how there is a design flow in the OLTP system. Like a customer gives me a requirement. How do I convert the requirement into the implemented tables? So for this, there is a set of steps. So we'll look at it. Initially, we gather a requirement from the customer. And we gather requirement for the current system. So whatever is the current system, like you have a business and you are maintaining certain registers in the business or some information. And I want to find out what is that system currently running. Can be any system. After you collect the requirement for the current system, then you do a modeling. So modeling is done by a modeler. Modeler means I have a big house now, which I am going to build. Before building, I want to look at a smaller equivalent of it. So a model is something with which I cannot actually implement, but it is a smaller version which gives me an idea. So when I have a model of a house that I'm going to build, it gives me an idea of many things, like how the space would be looking and how I would be traveling. And a lot of things can be discussed so that if there are any changes, it can change and later be implemented. So first point is modeling. And if it is OLTP system, you use ER modeling, then otherwise you use dimension modeling. Then from current physical system, you get into the logical system. So after you finish modeling, what you get is entity relationship model or dimension model, which is a logical system. This logical system is then basically we use a kind of a high level design to decide the data distribution. And we use a low level design to decide how the tables are going to be implemented. Like let's for example take, you are talking about Reliance Fresh. Example of a retail chain. Now the retail chain is present in different regions. You may want to know, okay, should I store data at the region level or should I store the data as individual branch level? Should I store consolidated data at the region level and detailed data at branch level? So these questions will come. And this question has to be answered. And the answer to this question is nothing but the high level design. It's called HLD. Then once you have decided where the data is going to be, how many tables are going to be there, this is the low level design. So after you have modeled your system, you go for first high level design and then low level design. Once you have completed the low level design, how many tables will be there, etc. What you get is you said current logical system. What we get is the proposed logical system. It's not yet implemented as a table, but it will be a proposed logical system. And in proposed logical system, we will have the optimization done. Once the optimized tables are there, designs are there, then you implement. The implementation is done by the developer. Therefore, you have the developer implementing it and converting it into a proposed physical system. And once you are going to do this conversion, you'll have to create tables, you'll have to relate tables. So where are we going to start this training from? We are going to start the training from in here. So we are assuming that people have designed tables, they have linked the tables. We have to see how to implement the tables. So this is your proposed physical system. These are the steps that are involved: modeling, design, and implementation. So 3 steps involved, and there are 4 states. So first is the current system, then the logical system, then you have the proposed physical system, and then the proposed logical system, and then the proposed physical system. So this is the flow. Okay. Now, the next we will see some examples of high level design, and also we will look at how ER modeling is done. And this we will look at in the next class before we go to SQL Server logical architecture. So as I said initially, this is the URL. So those who are interested, please spend some time, fill this form, and people from Go Online Training will get in touch with you. This URL is given in your chat window. So please check your chat window and fill the form. Any questions anybody has? Mandavi, Shiva, Srinivas.
I have one question.
Yes, Mandavi.
Can you please tell me what is the full form of PPS that you discussed?
What is the
full form of PPS that you discussed, no?
Acha, here the PPS, right?
Yes.
Proposed physical system.
And sir, please again tell me the VR model.
Okay. 1 minute. Shiva is, yes. Shiva has given a message. Let me go through the message. Let me see the chat. Yes, what is the message? I am in non-IT right now. Can I go through this course?
Non-IT, it means you can go through this course.
Non-IT. If you are completely non-IT, I would prefer there is another course which is there. It is called the SQL Server Basic. That will go at a slower pace. So you can attempt that. And that is, the timing is 7 to 8. The demo session is 7:30 to 8:30. The demo session is going on currently. And first demo session is over yesterday. The second demo session is on Thursday.
And I have one more doubt. In this course, we learn tool procedure performance, this type of concepts also.
In basic, see what we have done is we have two more courses. One is a basic course which will be giving very basic detail. That's around 30 hours. Then you have advanced course which will talk about performance tuning, etc. This course is a mixture of both. That is because this was meant for people who are from IT. So therefore, so one basic course will not have performance tuning. The advanced course will have performance tuning, etc. Yes, Shiva, you can get the link of yesterday's demo. Yesterday's demo of basic, yes, and also advanced. Yesterday, all the three demos were done. Basic SQL, advanced SQL for people who are from non-IT background and who have no working experience. And the third course is people from IT background having working experience. We do work experience, we do the analyst portion, analyst and data engineering portion, which is what is the current course. Yeah, to learn Power BI, it would be easy to learn Power BI if you have a SQL background, Shiva. So please do fill in the form. Don't forget to fill in the form. It is a student information form. You fill in the form, give it to goonlinetraining, and they will get back to you and they'll share you details. Okay, please suggest me best from. I would suggest, Shiva, you start with the basic course, 7:30 to 8:30.
And I have one more doubt. What is the dynamical SQL?
What is the
Dynamical SQL.
1 minute. Dynamic SQL.
Yes, yes.
Dynamic SQL means the same SQL only, it is T-SQL only. The only difference is you construct the SQL statement. Like, see, for example, we say insert into or update. These are all SQL statements. Now you construct the SQL statement using string dynamically and then execute. That is called dynamic SQL. And this is what is used in many of the applications where the construction of the SQL statement, like the query or the insert, update, delete, is done dynamically in your application. Is it clear, Srinivas? We would be if required, that also would be done, dynamic SQL. Usually we avoid it because there can be a performance problem, but we can do. So you will construct the SQL statement.
Actually, in my office, some of the stored procedure will contain a dynamical SQL. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, yeah. Some of the stored procedures do have dynamic SQL. So they construct the SQL statement dynamically.
Okay.
Dynamically means the compilation time, at the time of processing the SQL statement, it cannot create an execution plan. It has to first construct the SQL statement, then create the execution plan, because it does not know what the dynamic SQL statement would be, because it's constructed dynamically. It is mainly used when your structure of the statement itself is changing. So you use dynamic SQL. Otherwise, you can use parameters. Only if the parameter is changing, you can use parameter. If the entire construct is changing, you use dynamic SQL. Is it fine? Yes, Srinivas?
Yeah, it's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I didn't get your, it's not clear voice.
Yeah, I'm audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, fine. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. Any more questions, Srinivas or Mandavi? So with that, we can conclude today's session. We will continue with the class. So tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we will continue with the session. There is a possibility of no session tomorrow. So this session will continue day after tomorrow.
And the syllabus is there in mail.
Yeah, if you go through it is there. If you go through the link which is sent to you, it will be there.
Yeah, that's what I'm checking. Maybe it's not having.
It's exactly the same coverage that I displayed 1 minute. So I'll just display the.
Advanced Excel. Yeah.
Did you get the URL?
Yes. That's all.
It's
We are
the
getting the
same.
demo classes for only for 2 days, or it will be continued for day after tomorrow also?
No, it will be continuing now. So the demo classes you can check with Go Online. So I think 2 or 3 classes they keep it as demo. So
Okay, it means day after tomorrow we are having a demo class.
that I will check and let you know, because 2 demo classes are already over. It depends. If people confirm after demo, then the demo don't continue. We start with the classes. But if there are no confirmation, we continue with the demo. So you can get in and you can come to know whether it's a demo session or not, because I'll be specifying whether it's a demo session or it is the continued session. Okay. So if you are continuing with the session after demo, the payment, the fee payment, etc., there has to be a confirmation from your side. But till we don't get any confirmation from anyone, we continue with the demo session. But maximum 2 or 3 demo sessions, that's all. So this is the second one. We'll have at the max 1 more.
This is
Timing
60
will be
hours.
decided after the submission of the fees.
After that,
After the submission of the fees and all, the timing will be decided when we will decide the timing at what time we are
going to start, that will be communicated to you by Go Online. Mostly there will be no gap. The session will continue. So only thing is there may be some days gap may be there, like maybe in the entire month 1 or 2 day gap may be there because there's a sudden change in my time or schedule. There could be a gap in the session. Otherwise it's continuous every day, every weekday, Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday. And what about the timing? Timing will be decided after the fees. If we will enroll in that.
For timing, mostly it will be the same time, Mandavi. So it will be 9:30 to 10:30. But again, maybe one day of the week, there may be a different timing, or it could be on a Saturday. So this I would be based on my availability. Certain days, like on Tuesdays and one more day of the week, I could be busy and suddenly called for something. So then that time we will either reschedule the class and we'll have it on Saturday as well, or we may elongate the duration of the course by 1 or 2 days. This is how it is.
Okay, got it.
But the timing mostly will be the same, 9:30 to 10:30.
Okay, I will collect all the other informations from the online.
Yeah. By filling the form, you give your contact information. They will contact you and give you more information that you require.
Yeah, sure.
The duration time is 60 hours. Maybe it takes 2 months.
Yeah, Srinivas, can you be a little more loud? Because
the duration is time 60 hours. Maybe it takes 2 months. Time.
60 hours, approximately 1 hour a day. So 20 hours a month is what is the approximate duration. So it will go for 3 months. But what is the advantage here is, it goes for 3 months. You will have to do the learning process for 3 months. But on a daily basis, you don't spend like more than 1 hour time. That is the advantage of this online course. So, Any other question?
No. Thank you.
Thank you. Mandavi, any questions from your side?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. So there are no questions, then we can, I'll stop the recording.